everyone, and thanks for joining. I see some of you are like rolling in, and you'll also see a new feature, which is kind of like, oh, wrong way, this way, right here. A little chat bar, so you all see where the comments are coming from, what platform, and those of you kind of coming in late can see what was discussed and, you know, kind of where we are with this build. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful, and we're testing it out for this stream. And of course, David Beck is already posting his food, because yes, this is like a lunchtime stream, at least for us here in the East Coast, but for those of you in other time zones, lunch is a coming. So, you know, start thinking of what you're gonna chow down on. So for today, or for last stream, we played around with some fun LED patterns using this LED strip, the FastLED or FastLED library, and our Arduino. And we got an idea of what themes we like the best. So today, it's time to wire it up for real. Our Franken-lightning detector, it's time to make it glow. So I want to catch you guys up to where I am with this whole project. I kind of moved it along so we can get it ready for the wiring. So let's just kind of shove all this stuff aside here. And the first thing you're going to notice, I'm going to give you guys a much better view here of this whole thing. Oh, the chat's in the way. The chat's in the way. So you can see that I made a valiant attempt at creating my own lightning bolt. And originally the idea for this was that I was going to use some EL wire to make it glow like lightning, because with LEDs you get the individual little pixels, and I thought that won't look too well. But the more I thought of it, I thought, you know, I can carve out a little channel so that way the EL wire sits in there nice and neat, so it's not just like gobs of, you know, hot glue holding it in. But then I thought, well, the lightning detector can do a couple cool things, and with EL wire, you're stuck with one color unless you buy a bunch of colors and run the wires all in parallel to each other. Also, to control it via an Arduino, you can do it in several different ways. Most people use a shield, and with that, it kind of eats up all of your pins. And so now you need to like master and slave another Arduino. So the whole thing was getting rather complicated. And after we started to play around with this LED strip, I was like, wow, this can do a lot of cool things. So if you remember way back to the lightning detector hookup stream, it tells us when there's a lot of noise and it can't detect lightning, or when it's a disturber, or when it's actual lightning. So one of the things I thought we can do was change the color of the lightning bolt, telling us that there's something going on with the lightning detector, because we're eliminating that little LCD screen. And the other thing I thought, well, you know, the lightning detector tells us distance, and we have no way of like knowing how far away this lightning is. Now, of course, I'm not a storm chaser like some of you guys are. I know David Beck is a storm chaser. So for my purposes, I don't need to know exactly that the lightning is 10 kilometers away or 1 kilometer away. So we can establish ranges like 1 to 5 kilometers, 5 to 10, 10 to, you know, you get it, all the way up to 40. And the lightning bolt can change color depending on how that lightning is approaching. So we can go, you know, red for when it's really close, green for, you know, when it's still far away. And I know these are not like real lightning colors, you know, but it's a way to indicate the lightning. So that's kind of where I started going with replacing the EL wire idea with the LED. Because I thought we're going to get a lot more flexibility in opening up the functions of the lightning detector and using it in ways that it was probably not designed to do. You know, it's really designed for people that monitor weather, or hobbyists like weather enthusiasts and things, to get actual numbers. But for our purposes, you know, this is a Frankenstein-inspired build. So heck, that's Frankenstein's best tool, is his lightning detection. Or he probably could have done a better job had he had one. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So you can see kind of like what ended up happening here. And I free-handed this. I almost chickened out. I am not going to lie, because here I am like, why do I do test everything out on the final product. I should have cut 2 of these boards out so we can practice. And yes, because I take all of your suggestions, sometimes we do things out of order and then we have to backtrack a little bit. For instance, when you drill this, or I dremeled it out, now you got wood shards everywhere, and our pretty design here, our paint job was kind of ruined. But if you look close, I think I did a good enough job touching everything up. So let's check this out. Whoop, this way. So you can see as I started at the top, it's very black here because I started carving in and I realized it's probably not a good idea to separate the board completely, because see, then you get like these pieces that are free floating. It starts to lose its form. So I left it connected here and I just kind of touched it up with some black paint, and then I continued with the Dremel all the way down. And this was a slow process because first I outlined the whole thing with this bit right here. And this is just like a stone, you know, those stone pink bits. And I'll give you guys like a much better view here. There we go. So I dragged this across, and using a picture that I found online, I used it as a guide. Now, if I find this picture, I'll definitely post it for you guys, because you'll see that this lightning bolt looks nothing like the picture. So I say that I used it more for like inspiration. So this is a point where I was like, wow, being really bad at dremeling is actually a good thing, because as I started in, my hand would constantly slip, and that's what caused all these little jagged, you know, edges and things. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. It started to look natural. So the original intention was to have this lightning bolt come down, just one bolt like that. And then I got these arms going on here simply because I got to this point right here and I wanted to make this turn. Well, it didn't happen quite well. You know, my hand slipped and went that way and nicked the board. So I thought, I'll make a little branch then going that way. And the same thing happened here when I tried to make that turn. It didn't go too well. So I'm great at, I guess, driving straight, but don't make me turn. You know, so heck, I can start a career as a race car driver. You know, just bare left the entire time. So, okay, if this totally fails, I know where to go to next. So once I had kind of a shallow groove using this bit, I swapped over, and I had to try a couple different bits because I wasn't quite sure which one to use, which one would give me the best effect. Now I love these diamond bits here, and I'll give you guys a much better view. I love these diamond bits. They give you a nice clean cut, very little jagged edges, but you will be here forever making these grooves. So the best bet is to go with a bit like this. This is like a little, you know, circle, and it just carves in really well. And you can see that coincidentally, it's the same diameter, you know, as the hole here. And then I went in and followed up with this bit right here just to clean up the edges. Now, like I was saying, were I to do this again, I probably would have not painted this whole thing all pretty and then just went at it with a Dremel. But one of the things that I noticed, and I think Bob Ross was totally right, and I'm more and more finding myself employing his mentality and his you know, his thought pattern, in that mistakes often turn into happy little surprises. Because the real way I probably would have approached this, if I knew every single step and I knew everything that you guys wanted out of this project and I can arrange it in a proper order, I would have, of course, cut the board out, cut the lightning out, or actually make our miniature so we know where the lightning has to hit Frankenstein's castle, and then I would have painted it. But fortuitously, I noticed that when I started in with the Dremel, having this layer of paint, the paint burns into the, or just gummies up inside the wood. So you get less shards. So the cut up on top was actually quite smooth. The back of it, that's where all the shards were. But you can see that I took a nice sandpaper and got it all nice and cleaned up. And I'll back that away for you guys. So you see, and then all I did was just touch up all the scraggly mess that I had created. Now, when I first started here, you'll notice that I stuck a paintbrush inside and painted it as best I could. And of course, I got some glops, you know, out here. So I thought, you know what? I'll gradient it out by doing this. And in my opinion, you can see kind of how I did it here. I don't think that looks that great. You know, I'm not too worried yet because we are going to put some cotton clouds over a lot of this. So I'm going to see where they end up, and then I'll touch up what I don't like. Instead, a much better way to do it is as I started getting down here, I wised up. I got glops all over, but instead of pushing them further out, I went and pushed them back into the crevice and push and push on the other side. So that gives you a much more smoother line, and you don't get this like weird blackness and stuff going on here. So I definitely am going to fix this area. So that's where we are with this whole thing. We have our lightning bolt ready, and there's a couple lighting schemes that I want to go ahead and start actually wiring up with you. Let me catch up on all your guys' comments. Kurt Benning is here. He says, wow. Diabolical Prop says, looks great. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining. And so this is what we were kind of messing with the last time. And let me move this way, away from that, no, this way, the comments there, give them a little bit of room, you know, let them have their moment there. And so we started with this LED strip, and we created thunder effects, we created, you know, different light pulsing effects. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of, I probably should have done this before, is figure where this lightning sits in relation with the castle. Like I kind of mapped it out before, you know, starting the whole carving situation, but let's just do another double check and figure out where we want to put our thunder clouds. And again, for those, all I'm going to do is just simply, ooh, wrong way, just simply drill some holes where the LED light can shine through. And then we're going to figure that out together. Like, where would these clouds look the best? So let me assemble this real quick by getting all this crap out of the way. Well, let's see if I can shove, and get enough shoving for us to get started. Like with most people, when they build, they start with a clean work table and it progressively gets messy. Mine, I start with a messy one, and it progressively gets much messier. So it's about to get worse before it gets better. So those of you that are just kind of tuning into this project, this is a lightning detector, and it was going to be a basic lightning detector just hooked up to an LCD screen. And then we turned it into a faux cathedral window. We painted a nice background to show the lightning. And all of this was like your guys' idea. I wasn't going to get involved into all this stuff, but this was all you guys. And thank goodness, because you guys have some really, really great ideas. So let me give you a much better view of this. And I don't think I can fit it all. Ooh, we are backed up as much as we can. So let me actually switch. There we go. Get rid of the chat for 2 seconds. So we have our backing panel here. And if I flip this over, for now, I kind of judged that, you know, we got almost an inch here to work with, where we're going to wire up all the LEDs here. And this should be enough to contain everything, hopefully. So now let's get our castle in. And I'm just going to move this, wrong way. Our base, and what I want to do is put lighting along the sides here and the top that's going to shine down on our castle. So that's one of the lighting themes we're going to figure out. And let me grab Frankenstein's castle down here and the cliff. Now you'll notice that these, I got some work to do with these. They're not quite done yet. I'm going to scooch myself on over. And we have Frankenstein's castle. He is missing roofs, and he's missing a whole bunch of things. So let me get him kind of situated here. And I guess this guy will go here. And that's how he'll work. So yes, all this here needs to be painted. And it's going to be painted using the same scheme as our castle there. This purple rock is going to go away. This is here as a reminder. I'm going to crumble up some foam and lead it right up to the castle. Poor Castle Frankenstein has got a paper roof on it, and a lot of the roofs are still in their toothpick form, so all that's going to change. But the cool thing with Frankenstein's laboratory castle right here is that there's a nice big crack along the side. We got a window. There's actual holes on his ceiling because, you know, maintenance is not one of his things. He's too busy experimenting. That's what Frau Blücher, or FB, is. You know, don't want to wake the horses. So as we can see, wow, lo and behold, this is like a first. This never happens because, I don't measure. But this lightning bolt is pretty much hitting Castle Frankenstein right in the roof. I'll move him over just a little bit. And that's very cool how this happy little mistake or happy little surprise ends up going like it's almost wanting to hit this little chapel or steeple right there, and then we have one kind of going off into the distance to this happy little cloud, and they're going to become friends in Bob Ross world. So looking good. We are going to hide our fog machine, our mini fog machine here, so that way that smoke will come out of Frankenstein Castle. So the lighting schemes that we want to do and work on for today, at least getting it wired up, is getting the lightning bolt wired up, getting an ambiance light inside the castle. And I'm thinking 2 like amber color LEDs, 1 per tower, that just kind of flickers a little bit to show that there's some activity in there. Perhaps a blue one in this one to signify like a Tesla coil going off once in a while. And of course our fog machine will go off. Then finally up here, right around the edges at the very top, I want some kind of downlighting over the castle. So when it's not lightning, perhaps it could be kind of a cool ice blue washing over the castle. And then when it is lightning, these strips can flash along with our thunder clouds. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the thunder clouds. Let me put myself over here. I thought it would be cool to have like a cotton or something, and I'm just bending down to, there's my face, grab some of this. So if you recall from our fart detection project, we had a ton of stuffing left over from our stuffed animal. And so I thought, heck, I could probably use this. And it's all kind of, I don't know what the word is, but globulated already, from being in an old stuffed animal. It's not like that fluffy filamentous type of stuffing, filamenty type of stuffing. It's turned globular by now, but I thought it would be cool to have some of this go over our lightning, and then we can create some storm clouds, like this guy can go over here and this guy can go over here, and we'll drill holes and put a couple LEDs behind them so that way they flash when the lightning detector detects lightning. So our job, I think, first is to determine where we want these things. So I thought, let me just move this down, maybe putting one kind of here where I boo-booed. I boo-booed up a little bit. Oh, and before we do that, we do have a lip we have to worry about. So let me put this guy over it. This is our formal cathedral window right here that we painted up, if you guys remember, and we aged it together. Check out that black ink wash that we made, or that acrylic paint wash. It made a nice dingy look to our cathedral window. And this, I think, will be cool to hang up in the shop because I got no windows in here. So it'll be nice to have kind of a Frankenstein castle scene to look out upon. So let me get this positioned. And it's also a real live working lightning detector. So I think that's pretty cool. It's going to be pretty useful. So I got this kind of all in position. I think I am going to have to trim. I don't know if you see my finger right here. I'm going to have to trim a little bit of here because it's a little tight, But we'll see. We'll see. So everything here is looking pretty good. And now if I do this and find a place to put myself, figure out where we want to put some of this lightning. So let me move myself once more. There we go. So I was saying, it's kind of nice that this does cover up my boo-boo, my happy little surprise. So we can have like a cloud coming like this, and we'll make it look more cloudy, not so bulbous, I guess. But this is just to kind of figure out where we want to put these and where they look nice. Like I have kind of a light area here. Do we want to cover the moon, something like that a little bit? And I definitely want to do, see how the lightning kind of breaks up this cloud? That looks a little weird. So we definitely have to put some kind of something here, and maybe it can dissipate into the painting. So I'm thinking an LED right there. And let me grab a pencil and start marking this up. There we go. So I'm thinking like an LED here. I don't want to put anything too close to the lightning bolt, so that way it can kind of be the star. And then let's see. We can put, well, this is going to glow anyways because the lightning bolt is going to come there. So we don't need a something there. And again, here breaks up the cloud, which is like really weird. So, oh, and David Beck is adding globulated to the dictionary. Yes, trust me, we expand a lot of words in here. It's constantly making up words. So I definitely want to put a cloud there too. And that kind of hides the fact that I kind of jacked up all my clouds by just like drilling right through them. So because the lightning bolt is coming through here, I'm going to put our LED like right here. So far we have 1, 2 thunderclouds. This will naturally light up with the actual lightning. So I'd like to put a third or a fourth somewhere. Let's see. Maybe kind of like here, like they want to connect, but they can't quite connect. It's like that painting of David, you know, where David or Michelangelo's painting, that, you know, the guy and the gods are trying to touch each other. That famous painting, but they don't quite, you know. I don't think they quite, you know, I'd have to pull that painting up again online to take a look at it. So maybe something like that where we can have another like LED here. And then it's kind of looking plain over here. So let's add a happy little friend over here. These two, maybe I'll move this guy down. Yeah. Oh, this is nice because it's already such a white area that this will be kind of nice. And maybe in this cloud, we'll add 2 LEDs. One here and maybe one here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thunderclouds. And David Beck is saying, are you going to add globulated cotton into the lightning bolt and paint to match the surrounding? So I had an idea for that. Let me just redo my marks so I see them. And here we weren't going to do anything. Here's my mark here. Uh-oh. Here's one. And then here's one. Because I think the light is just gonna like radiate through our little puff cloud. So for this lightning bolt, think of it like when it's not lit up. It looks kind of funky. One of the things I thought about doing was I went out and bought, and I haven't done this yet because I have to test this. For once, I'm actually going to test this on another piece before putting it on this piece. This is like first. So this is glow-in-the-dark paint. And I thought it might be cool to kind of colorize the lightning bolt. So when I turn off the lights, it glows in the dark, but when the lights are on, the paint is invisible. So one of the things I have to test out is this paint indeed invisible in the light? You know, I don't know that. It doesn't look like it is. So I'm going to test it out first before I do it here. And I thought, heck, you know, when I turn this thing on, at least you still have some kind of cool thing. And if it is, I was going to take a paintbrush and splatter like a starry night sky right up in this tip where the arch comes together. A nice little starry glow in the dark. And this stuff only appears when the unit is off. So this is doing a lot of work when it's off, when it's detecting, when it's not detecting. So I think this is turning out to be cool. And I have you guys to thank for that. Because a lot of it, actually most of this came from you guys. And then David is saying that might blend the pixelated LEDs. Yes, I have another idea for that because I saw what some cosplayers do when they're making armor or when they're making, let me get rid of all this, armor and weapons and things like that. They use a really clever technique for dispersing the light and disguising the fact that the LED is made up of a whole string of pixels because that kind of like ruins the whole effect. Actually, I'm going to hide these things underneath here. go. Oh, before I do that, let me put this back because we need to figure out where we want to put our ambient lights, right? Our ambient inside Castle Frankenstein lights. So I'm just going to do that and get this positioned. Uh-oh, you stuck. Don't break. Oh, Castle Frankenstein fell in the lightning crevice. That's a bizarre problem to have. So you can see, you can hear it kind of crunching. So this little mountain here, I need to lose a little bit of weight over there. And so let's get Castle Frankenstein in position with the lightning and figure out, make sure he's not too crooked. With a pencil, I'm going to go in through the window, and when I make the actual drill mark, I'll know to come down here. So that way you don't see like an obvious LED light. I want to disguise it here and just kind of let it glow up. And so let me pump some lead in there. And does this fit in the window? All right, should be enough. And then I want to do one for Frau Blücher's living quarters. So I'm just going to gently, and somehow we're going to translate from the front to the back. Or I had such luck drilling from the front to the back, I think we'll just do it. I was thinking of drilling from the back to the front, but let me just see what I got. Oh, these are nicely visible. So I'll know that these went through the windows. I actually want to make it, you know, like right here. And this one, like right here. And then I'll make my, I'll put the Tesla coil right next to it. This is going to be interesting, people. All right, now I shall get rid of Castle Frankenstein because we got all that lighting figured out. Put you over here. And we're going to talk about David's idea for dissipating the light so it doesn't look so pixely. And let me pop you out because we're going to predominantly be working on this board right here. Now you decide to get stuck. 1 second. I'm going to manhandle you over here. There we go. Oh, there. Oh, oh. Oh, not so graceful. And David is asking, do unicorns neigh? You never know. They might be one of those quiet creatures. I think they mostly hide. Yeah, scooch a little more this way. Give our chat room there. Have it, it's a little glory moment. So, all right, I have everything marked up, and I think I'm going to start to drill holes into this thing. So let's see how big these little LEDs are. Figure out what kind of holes we need. So that's not that bad. And where's the Dremel? Here it is. And I think I'm going to use that bit that I really liked. Where's my bits at? Where's my bits at? So let's see what we got going on. Now, one of the things, let's see. I'm just going to spill all these out so I can see what's going on. That bit is hiding. It's like, please, you've done enough. I almost died making that lightning. Don't pull me out. So. Trying to get the idea of size. Yeah, I think we'll be good. I think we'll be good. So let me get this guy in here. And we'll start marking these up. And then once we have all the LEDs laid out, then we can put the thunderclouds on. But I think for that, I will wait till I get the castle permanently fixed, just in case I have to fix anything in the back and then I'm squishing the clouds and stuff. I think the clouds will go on absolutely last, or the globulated ones anyways. All right. So, and then what we're going to be doing is literally cutting individual LEDs to place them where we want. Now, of course, for single LEDs, when you're trying to create something you wear or an effect like we're doing, they actually make much better LEDs on pads, you know, something that you can handle. Handling a tiny little LED off the strip is going to be pretty challenging, but I figure I have this strip, let's just use it so that way I don't have to like buy separate pod-like ones and different shaped LEDs. So first thing first, be nice to plug this in, right? Get some power. We don't got no Wi-Fi driven tools. Wi-Fi power. So get my glasses on, get our little globulations out of the way. Oh, but before I start, I keep saying that I'm going to address David's comment and I get on to something else. So for that, what I've seen cosplayers do is use this material here. Sometimes bubble wrap, but this material. And this is to help protect plates when you're moving. So it's like those little pieces that you put in between plates. And what happens when you put an LED strip behind it, it really dissipates the light and clouds the fact that there are actual individual pixels. So my idea for this is to put maybe 2 layers of this, and we're gonna have to, you know, kind of test it out. 2 layers of this in the back and just leave it that way, and let's see how that looks. See, so now you have like kind of a white situation going on, and that's where I had my glow-in-the-dark paint idea. And not to paint it on in an opaque manner, but maybe dilute it a little bit so that way you get just a hint of glow going through here when the lights are off, you know? And maybe I won't even have to paint the actual board, you know? So that way, if it is not see-through during the day, that won't matter so much. I'll just water it down slightly and we'll paint on top of this, this little foam thing right here, foam sheets. And David is saying, or not David, number 1 is saying, using what you have is one of my favorite tools, isn't it? I mean, isn't it? It is one of my favorite tools too. And we do the best we can, especially if it's a job you're only going to do once. And then to buy the tool for just one thing, you know, if you know you're only going to use it once. So let me get our globulations and look at all the clouds we could do, you know, potentially. So good thing I saved this stuffing, or else I'd have to sacrifice somebody else. Somebody else would face doom. So let me put you away. And I do have some candidates, and I'm going to put this away until we're ready for the lightning portion. So let's start carving out, you know, these things, and hopefully I'm not making any permanent errors here. I'm just going to bring you guys in closer. And again, probably a good idea to do this on a practice board, but alas, no. We're doing it for real, and we are just going to hope for the best. And I just realized I didn't quite clamp this down really well. Let's make sure that's good. All right. So here we go. And again, I'm not doing where I marked because that's where the window is, and I don't want this like bright, obnoxious LED in the window. I'm going to go a little bit lower and see what happens. I'm just going to lift this a little. There we go. I have a fan here that's just going to blow a lot of this out the door. And then here, we're going to do... You know what? I may just carve a hole. Instead of like having to wire 2 individual LEDs, let's see what the distance between 2 LEDs, and I'll just do like a square. keep these two together, right? Why am I making my life so difficult? And I'll move it just slightly. So I'll know that I have to go from about here to here and here to here. Yeah, we'll keep them connected. Knock it off with this complication. I already do that enough. I complicate things enough. So why don't we just knock that off? All right. So I'm going to cut a little box. And probably there's a better tool for that than the one I'm using. But I need to make this a little bit bigger anyways. Let's measure out a single LED. Oop. Now that the castle's not here, we have a lot more room. That little box there, and then that little box there. So these will be our castle ambiance. And let me pump up this fan just a little bit. Can't reach. There we go. We're ready for a photo shoot. It's like a dremeling photo shoot. Not very attractive. There we go. And 1 second. Sounds like I have somebody at my door. So I'm going to put you guys on a quick intermission and I'll be right back. All right, I am back, and I'm actually having a lot of cool stuff delivered for next week's stream, so I'm like, all right, keep it coming. All right, let's do this. Yeah, Avon calling. Truth be told, I actually did a stint as a Mary Kay door-to-door salesman for a while. This was back in college to make a little bit of extra money. So yeah, I wasn't very good, you know. It was pretty bad, but I learned a lot of things, and it built up my confidence to talk to strangers and be brave enough to knock on doors. So a lot of good things came from it, just not any sales. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, I just nicked. Oh no, I nicked it. That's okay. That's underneath our castle, so. actually have a better idea. What if I use a cutting disc? A little grinder disc, that might work better. And then we go in, or else I'm gonna sit here carving this and carving this. Or maybe one of these stones, but I think a cutoff wheel, just to get these longitude, you know, these long parts. And yeah, I totally, if I'm gonna oops anything, here's the area to do it in, because the castle will totally be covering it. And so tiny pieces, such giant hands. This wheel is entirely too big. Entirely too big. Oh, I got little ones. I just got this Dremel, and I love it. It's pretty powerful, not very expensive. But one of the things I don't like is that the heat dissipates through here, and I tend to hold the Dremel like a pencil, you know, like that. So the heat, I'm just getting blasted. So I gotta take my time sometimes and let it cool off, let my hand cool off. So number one is asking what college. So I went to Ohio University, not Ohio State, Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. So it was a small town. And I originally went for bio pre-medicine, chemistry, and I think I minored in psychology too. And did none of that. I ended up doing none of that. I ended up really falling in love with marketing, and did that for a few years, which got me into video for clients, which no one was buying, you know, because YouTube was new at the time, so no one was really trusting video. Well, of course, that became like the biggest thing, and that led to TV work, all that to client video work. So that's what I did, and I did many things to pay my way through school. Any job, even if I hadn't done it ever before, that's where I learned a lot of these skills. I worked for the theater department, anything, designing sets. And I remember one of the first jobs was I had to design a rock formation. So they gave me a big old block of foam and said, here you go. I had never done this before. And so I just started to like carve, and you learn along the way. And then I'll tell you more of my jobs once I get a little bit through this. I had some interesting ones. Much better. All right, and for this I am going to get a dust mask because it's less controlled. Be right back. I'm not even putting you on intermission. I'm going to be so fast. All right. Now, when doing the lightning bolt, I actually wore a respirator because, yeah, that just kicks stuff up all over the place. So let's do this. And there we go. That's gone through. So that's pretty good, and I'm just going to switch over to the other bit, and this is sadly all part of lighting. You know, it's usually the fastest part of lighting is the actual wiring, you know, fastest part of the wiring. The prep is just like the worst. All right, another job that I had. I went door to door doing oil changes and brake jobs on my bike. So I made extra money doing that because I had always taken care of my car, you know, through high school and all of that. There we go. All right, that is one butchered up hole, I am not gonna lie, but it'll still work for our purposes. So let's see if we can fit our LEDs, and that capacitor is all like, I'm hanging on to you. I'm gonna slip these LEDs underneath. See if we can find them. Oh, and there we have two LEDs. Nice. I might just extend this side and this side just a little bit to give them a little more room to shine their nice hopeful light. So a little bit more at it. And number 1 says, "Go Bobcats." Indeed. Yeah, we were the Bobcats. I did enough. Let's see. I think. Whoa. Yeah, that gives it just a little bit more room to do its thing. All right. So now we do this little guy here. you, wow, I don't know what gets the award, watching paint dry or this, just constant dremeling. But I think it's done. It looks kind of okay, you know? Thankfully, it's hidden, so no one's gonna know this butchery that happened here. So let's check out and measure. Ooh, I mean, honestly, if I didn't mind, you know, sparing some LEDs, we could just run a whole strip like this. But I think I'm gonna separate this guy and then keep these two guys here. So one will flicker a nice amber flicker. The other one will periodically just do like a Tesla color coil. Tesla coil color, which is somewhere in the blues. And then this will be our other little amber light right there. So we would just repeat these for the clouds, this little single one. But having gone through all that, I'm a spare you all that, you know, having gone through cutting all these. And in my head, it was a lot more riveting than it has been in real life. So we're going to move on and start actually, you know, the wiring portion of this. You know, what are we, like at least an hour into this thing? And then now we're going to wire? Really? So let me just clean this off and we're going to turn this around. Now, one of the things is I am totally a beginner to wiring LEDs and also programming them. But despite that, we got some really cool patterns going on, but one at a time. So we would do a pattern, then load up another code, do a pattern. So I know that there's a way to have a string of LEDs, say, you know, like this, and put this like where you guys can see it, and have perhaps this section over here doing something, this section over here doing something completely different. So there is code for that, and that's kind of what I'm studying. And then I know an even easier way is to basically run a data pin from, say, this section of LEDs does something into one of the pins of the Arduino. Then this section does something else, and so you run that data line into a completely different pin. And code-wise, that might be a little bit easier. So as we wire, I'm going to go ahead and solder up all of the red powers and the white grounds together for our entire scheme. Now, the only thing that I won't do is wire up the green data connector, because I want to have whatever LED lights are left here from this strip. I'm going to experiment with option 1, which is keeping this as an entire data line that then segments the strip into different sections that all do different things. That's option 1. Then option 2 is to run the data line in groups, like all the thunderclouds are connected. Maybe we'll connect the thunderclouds and the lightning because they'll probably, you know, always be working together. Then we'll wire a separate pin for the ambiance lighting, you know, that lighting up top that kind of glows. And then we'll wire up a separate data pin for the inside, the Castle Frankenstein situation, that amber light, the little Tesla coil. I'm thinking at this point, option 2 is probably the way I'm gonna go, but that doesn't prevent us from already, you know, starting this whole wiring process. And if I decide to connect them, that's just one wire that I have to connect. So starting with this guy, and let's see if I can get this whole contraption off here. Back when we were testing this, we added a capacitor and a way to power it. So for ease of use, I'm just gonna I can pull these out. I'm gonna leave that there. And so a lot of these LEDs come with this style connector that you can use with a program or a remote control. I'm gonna, just kind of put this aside for now and work with these 3 wires right here, which is our power, our ground, and our data line. For individually addressable LEDs, sometimes you do have a 4th, that you have to connect. But in my case, it's only 3. And the most important thing is you have to look really closely at your LED strip. And I'm gonna bring you guys in whoa, that's a little too close, even closer. And you'll notice, I'll just use this to point at it, this little arrow right here. Or maybe I'll move over here so you guys can see it. This little arrow, it's pointing this way. So the data is gonna travel, and I'm gonna back you guys up now. So that means that the data is going to travel from our Arduino unit, which is like, going to be somewhere here or here, we're going to figure that out. And it's going to travel down this line here and tell all of these LEDs what to do. So we just have to make sure that when we lay these LEDs out, that they're laid in a way that the data is not going backwards, because then it won't work. Power, on the other hand, we're going to power it from the noggin and also from the bum. That way you get power being infused through both ends. Because what you're going to notice is about after a meter, like you saw with the previous stream, the color just starts to die down on you because it's not getting enough voltage. You experience voltage drop. So in our case, we're not using a whole heck of a lot of LEDs in terms of meters. So I think we're going to be good just powering from the front and the back. And if we find that we need more power, I'll pick some place in between and add power there too. So yes, you can infuse power just about anywhere. So for something like this, let me put some of these guys away, because they're going to be rolling off the table. So for our lightning bolt, let me figure out a strategy of how we want to do this. Now I know that I want our, let me back you guys up even more. I know that I want our ambience lighting tied to the same family, the same group, in case we decide to separate our data pins. So I think because the Arduino is going to be sitting towards the bottom here somewhere, like glued to this back shelf, I'll probably start from the bottom and then work my way up towards the top. So starting with these guys, that looks pretty good right there. And I'm going to cut along this line here with my scissors, this gold line, and we're going to try and solder this. Now, I admit, this is my first time soldering LEDs, and one would think that I would practice this stuff before doing it live, right? Oh, heck no. I have no problems face planting in front of all of you, and that's quite clearly what might happen. So I'm going to try and cut it as evenly as possible. There's even a little guideline to help you. Am I good at cutting? There we go. So you see I have some gold contacts here that I'm going to solder to, and then I'm going to meet up with these little gold contacts. So in essence, what it's going to allow me to do is make best, most efficient use of my LED strip as possible. So I'm going to put these guys face down on here, and we'll use some hot glue to kind of secure it in place. And then, or what I could do is perhaps glue a piece of wood right here, like a little, quarter panel, like a quarter plywood, is not panel, but quarter plywood that we cut from a panel over top of it. And then I can pull this little strip off and it can just adhere to that. But for now, we can just use a dab of hot glue on either end. And what I'm going to do is peel away this adhesive just enough for us to be able to solder some wires that will jump to this guy over here. Now, of course, I could just put LEDs, and just remember and count how many are in between so I don't use them in the program, but I'm conserving me some LEDs. So David Beck, he's got confidence. He says that you'll be fine. I've seen you solder or solder, depending on what side of the pond you are, many things. So I'm going to start firing this up and getting it hot. And I'm going to unplug our Dremel here and plug this guy in. Put the Dremel on the floor and get this guy going. Okay, and just to help us out, I'll keep some painter's tape handy. So that way we can kind of just tape things for now into place as we figure things out. So I'm gonna bring this guy over here and let me raise his little arms. And then I'll put him in the center for you. But let's figure out this whole tape situation. I have to imagine that we have to, oh, this is the worst part. It's like, what's the hardest part of wiring LEDs? It's removing this little adhesive backing. Like when you have the double-sided tape, it's just the absolute worst. All right. Now, I'm touching this black area with the contacts to make sure that I also remove the adhesive layer. So not only do you have to remove this blue backing, but you have to remove the adhesive strip that it's attached to. So that way you're not soldering on top of the adhesive strip, you're actually soldering on these little contacts right there. And so I'm going to tape him into place so we figure how long the wires we want. And then this guy will be on here. So using red, him here and him here, I need something about this long. And I'm going to do a little longer just in case. So like that and like that. So I'm going to cut you right here. And I'm going to match that up with a green wire. Because I know that these two are going to be part of the same family no matter what, I might as well solder this data pin as well. So I'm going to do that. Just use everybody of the same length. Oh. Keeping an eye on the stream there, making sure it's not falling asleep on me. I know that dremeling was riveting, just riveting. And I'm going to do the same with the ground. And what I'm doing is just matching up the color of the wires that the LED strip came with. Now, normally for ground, I always use black. But in case I have to repair this, I can always match up the wires, you know, based on the color that it came with. So I try and match up as much as possible, except when we prototype. Then any color you want is doable. So let me move all this. Oh, don't touch the soldering iron. A little iron tip. And let's get these kind of cut up one side and then the other side. Oh, wrong dimension. So we got white done and ready to be soldered. We're going to tin those little tips. Although you can't, there we go. Now you can see we're going to tin these tips before we go, and we're going to try and tin the soldering pad on the actual LED strip. So that sounds like I know what I'm talking about. We'll see. Sounding like you can do something and then actually putting it to the test, doing it for real. And hopefully my idea of just separating these out, because I could just burn through a whole bunch of LEDs and, you know, have a whole bunch of LEDs on the backing panel that you don't even see and just count and not use them. But that's still voltage drop. You know, they still have to go through those LEDs. And also keep in mind the length of your wire, because the longer your power and ground and all that, the more but the more degradation that you get. So you may have to infuse power if you just have to use very, very long lines to connect different areas of your strip. So let me bring this guy into view, and we're just going to solder right on top of the piece. Heck, why not? Because that's what I do. And I'm going to have my little leopard excessive drip area there. And where is my, oh, right here. And normally I use a much thinner solder, but I'm almost out of it. So I'm going to try and go with this Gigantor guy, see if we could do it using very fine motor movements. So where did the piece that I just cut out wind up? Right here. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of tape. And because we peeled back this thing, see how he wants to kind of flop back over? We're going to make sure he stays right where he needs to. There we go. And we're going to put him where you guys can see. Like that. And the other thing I got to look is, you know, which pins are which. You know, like what, red, green, you know, where do these all go? And I believe green goes in the middle. But let me get my my even bigger granny glasses on right here so I can see. Now let's see here. So it looks like the 5-volt is this guy right here. So let me bring you guys in a little closer. So the 5-volt is this guy. And then the data pin is in the middle, so that's easy to remember. And then the ground is going to be on this side. So if I flip this over, then the 5-volt is here. So let's just put him here. And I'm probably going to freak out and keep checking. Yeah, so the 5-volt is the one that's closest to me. And I'll bring this a little closer to you guys so you guys can see what the heck is going on here. And let me get this thing out of the way. And there we go. And I'm going to pirouette this guy all over the place and not even not even get him to where he needs to be. There. Now the idea is I want to pre-tin that, and I want to pre-tin some of these wires. So maybe I can arrange them, and you'll be able to see here in a second. And perhaps I am too close. There we go. Now I'm going to try and arrange these guys kind of like this. This is a soldering iron with the most shortest cord you can think of. There. And that's terrible. Get these wires ready. A little trio like that. There. Maybe I can do a whole communal tin all at the same time. Everybody's getting tinned. And let me turn on my fan here. There we go. And let me see how hot we're running this thing. One of the tough things with this soldering iron here is that where you grab, I always hit this knob, so then you end up with like no heat. Here, we'll start you off at a 350. A 350 in terms of heat. And let's start cleaning this tip, because yeesh, that's pretty bad. That's wanting to do all kinds of contamination. Oh, it's not even. Look, it's barely even. So we still need to, this thing needs to heat up. Because it doesn't want to do anything. And this is like labelless solder, so I don't even really know what's going on here. But we're going to try it out. This is how we do it here at Gearhead Diva. We just pick stuff up and give it a go. We don't practice beforehand. There is no better practice and make myself look good. Nope. Oh yes, and David put it in writing, so that'll be a lot easier for me to look at. That the 5-volt is the closest to me. Yes. Which, wait a minute. There. No, that one. Okay. I swear, if I wire this wrong, I am just gonna paint the wires. Like, if the red, I'll just paint it white if I have to. It's a wire is a wire. All right. Are we getting there? The slowest heating up that we have. Oh my gosh, really? Nothing. Let me make sure I didn't hit this again. Yeah, so this takes a while. I'm going to put you there. And we're going to figure out some of the rest of this. So I have wires to go to this, and then I need one. I might as well cut the next one here. We're going to use just one. And this will be on its own cycle, I think. And why am I doing this with wire cutters? Too complicated. This project was just not complicated enough. So that tiny little pixel. Now again, if I were doing a project exclusively of these tiny pixels, I would just purchase one with a bigger pad. That makes it much tougher to start soldering because they're so tiny. And am I wearing two glasses on my head? All right, I am officially old. Look at that. You need to have 2 glasses on the top of your head. And the thing is, I'm going to stop the stream, put you guys on an intermission, and go all around the shop looking for my safety glasses and be like, where's my safety glasses? Guys, I lost it. And look all through the table. You know that's going to happen. So, and every time I say something's going to happen, it always does. So, back to this project. Let's see if we have a little bit more juice here. Come on. So one of the things coming, I'm so excited, is an actual soldering station. I've been doing this soldering pen, and listen, I admit, it's been working out great. It's definitely hot as I touch it with my bare hands. But it just, the heat has just not gotten down to the tip yet. And I have a much better tip that I might switch. So, I'm going to keep you there and find it. I think it's this guy over here. Now, he's a little bit big, this guy here, for this job, but he's like a workhorse. I really like this tip right here. And let's see if I just turn this a little higher. Maybe it'll heat up faster, like curling irons. You know, sometimes I'll start it at the biggest heat, because somehow I justify that it'll heat up faster. But yes, I'm basically touching my little globules here, and nothing's happening so far. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. Let's see, does it burn? Yeah, so it's getting heat. I could always touch it with my bare hand again and find out for real. All right, just not enough yet. Oh, there we go. Now, all of a sudden, it woke up, which is always the case with this iron. Just decides, like, I'm good. But that's definitely still not hot enough to solder, because I'm getting like a cold solder blobule going on right there. You know, when it's like that hard blob, or the thick blob instead of the thinner, runny solder. But we can start to clean off this tip a little bit. I'm going to move you, my backup, and I'm going to move this single little LED off to the side, or I will surely lose it. All right. Get you a little more cleaned up. There we go. The solder is like, I require more heat. There we go. So we're almost there. That's why this is a real live build. It's like, this is what really happens. It's not all just quick speed camera. There we go. A little more. Yeah, I think this tip is just having trouble. I'm going to unplug this and swap tips. After all that, we're going to swap, because this one is just not being cooperative. And let's see if I can grab a tool to start the switch process, and we can cut out some LEDs for the next part of the build. And we're going to continue with this guy as soon as he's cooled off. And let me not lose what I got going on, but I figure let's just cut all the other strips that we're going to need. And then I'll switch that tip out and we will resume. So we have this guy, we have our duo, which is connected to our little soldering area. We have our single, which I gotta put somewhere where we're not gonna lose. I'm gonna put him right there. Move this out of the way. And so then the next thing to do, we're gonna skip the storm clouds for now because like it's pretty much the same as how we're gonna wire this up and figure out this whole situation here, the lightning situation. So let me get this in an area here. And I think what I'm gonna do for this is, let's see what we got here. I'm all up in my own way. Does your sponge have water? It probably does not. It's probably dried by now. So I got this. And then somehow I want to bend it over here and then bend it again. So I might have to just cut and do some mini solders in order to do that. And the idea here is I'm debating whether or not to do these striations, like these two little branches, because wouldn't the light just kind of dissipate and make these look a little more natural? Like it would start super bright and then just kind of fade into nothing. So I think I'm gonna have that. Look at David is like thinking like beyond what I'm thinking. I'm sitting there like, I can't get this LEDs to work. He's like, do you even have drinking water for yourself? It turns out I do. So I usually use this little brass thingy to clean tips. I find it cleans tips way faster than the sponge, but I also double up. It's good to double up sometimes. So here's my sponge and I'm gonna stretch over here. And I do have drinking water, so I'm going to sacrifice my drinking water and try and get this up and stick it in here. And I love how I'm doing this all on top of the project. Heck, why not? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What happened is exactly what we all knew was gonna happen. Like, exactly. Let me move this out of the way. Get better prepared. All right, and move this guy back. And now I will stick my own drinking water. And he is swimming in a pool of water because that was a bit much, but for our purposes, it works. And I'm gonna grab a quick paper towel and I'll be right back. So quick that I didn't even put you all on an intermission. There we go. So Dave had the right idea because I usually start off all the streams showing off my favorite Peanuts glasses that I have. I like to collect the little Peanuts glasses. And so I always show them off to you guys. And so David remembered, like, she probably has one of them Peanuts glasses full of water somewhere. But this time it's plain. It's just like a plain glass. So I'm going to put this back over here where I can't damage anything further than I already have. So, y'all read my mind. Get this a little bit more cleared off. And how hot are you? You know, when you've done this so much, like your fingers are like, pain sensors. They just don't exist. You've burned all of them off by now. I know I have. Ow, 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 ow. There we go. And where's my other one? This guy in. I'm hoping this pen didn't die on me. That would like really be bad, but it is getting hot. I think there's just something up with that tip. I shoo it away. Let me put this paper towel because you know we're gonna need it. All right, so I'm gonna plug this guy back in and reset. All right. Bring him closer, and perhaps a good idea that I don't have that piece and we're not going to be working on top of it. Ouch. So move you out of the way. Everybody get out of my way. All right, so let's see if you're getting any hotter. And Kurt Benny says, wow. There we go, just setting the temperature, which is the tiniest. Like, which one of my glasses am I going to use to read this? Hold on, what's going on here? All right, so I do have it at like a 380? No, it's probably 350. Yeah, I can't even tell with glasses. So we're gonna go with 350. It's got a 3 and a 0 at the end, and then some kind of number in between. So I'm gonna guess that is 350. So yeah, so you can already see how much cleaner that tip is. Where I was doing it with the other tip, it just wasn't getting clean. So I think what's happening was the heat was traveling, but there was some kind of jam up happening right here with the other tip where it just wasn't. It was like, yeah, nah, it's Friday. I'm gonna go play. I ain't working. Besides, it's like Friday after lunch. I'm hungry. I'm not gonna be doing any LED soldering. That's lame. So we'll see. And if the same thing happens with this tip, then we know that maybe perhaps this soldering iron is completely fried, which would suck. That would be a bummer because I really wanted to get this thing wired up because I want to wrap up this project so we start a fun whole bunch of new ones. And so while this heats up, one project we're going to kick off for Wrench Army members is our homemade plasma ball. So I've been looking up circuits, all kinds of things, and I already started buying all the equipment we're going to need. So we're going to be using a 555 circuit along with a high voltage transformer of some sort. So either an ignition coil, you know, heck, we can make something, a multiplier, a voltage multiplier. So I haven't figured that out, but that's something that we're going to work on together. We're going to wrap this project up. And then for the public streams, we're going to get into our summer project. So lots going on. So we need to wrap this up, and these irons need to stop messing around with me. So, okay, looks like this guy's a little more happy on my leopard print coaster here. It's a stone coaster that I use specifically for this work. And it's beginning to get hot. Just a few more minutes. I think it'll be ready to go. And it's the nice liquidy hot, not the, you know, little cold solders here. So let me switch you guys and get us all into position. Get this guy into position. Do a minor zoom in, just minor. We don't want to go nuts, you know. It's like, you know, first date, you kind of get to know each other, and then you zoom in closer, you know. For second and third date camera work. So you can see here it's getting kind of bubbly anytime I touch the tip. So I think we're doing pretty good here. And like David was saying, I have my little sponge that we can use. I love this brass ball here. It's kind of like one of those Brillo pads that gets the tip nice and clean and much better. See how that's going now? And I have the fan going here by my side, which is blowing the wind this way. And I'm like directing you with my head. You know, it's blowing the wind this way. So let's see if we can tin these wires. And let me get this clean one more time. And these, yeah, this tip is a little fat, so we're gonna have to be kind of creative. And I'm just gonna curl these guys, curl these little strands together. And let's get to tinning, people. And so I like to hold, I don't like to make direct contact with the solder and the iron. So I get the wire nice and hot, and then I touch the solder to the top and let it wick through. And it's I think there is something funky going on with this iron. And it's one of those things I always say when something kind of starts dying on you, depending on how long you've had it, I say, listen, this little iron, especially this little iron, owes me nothing in life. I mean, it's gotten me through so many cool projects. And it was like 20 bucks. So now I'm going to do the green here. Hold on, people. Am I even touching the wire? Yes, I am. I think one of the projects we should come up with, and I'm sure they have this, but like a double glasses, you know, like a hinge or something where you can pull different glasses. Oh, that's kind of a cold solder. There we go. Cold joint. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit closer to me so I can get this little white guy right here. And Kurt Benny is saying, I see the EMP device is going smooth as silk. Yes, not so much. Our EMP device here. LED EMP device. So we did the green. Now we're doing this guy here. And he's like barely out of your guys' view. What the heck? It's like, God, if you're going to face plant, at least do it like where we can see it. It's all quiet as we try and solder. There we go. And while I'm at it, I might as well tin these little guys over here, since I'm kind of in this general area, so they're ready to go to the other side. So let me curl them, get them all curled up. Oop. There. Now I'm going to start the back to the front. Go. You guys can see this in the very little corner of the screen. Sometimes you get to building and you're not watching. It's like, it's been half hour. We have no idea what you're doing. But we're going to assume it's awesome. What is that noise? Do you guys hear that? Someone vacuuming in my house? Somebody might be vacuuming. Next, I'll move this a little closer to you guys. Oh, that's a dirty tip. Let's get you cleaned up. I have enough trouble already. And I got my backup sponge. Good idea, David. He remembered my Peanuts cups. Glasses. That is bizarrely loud. It's like they're jackhammering upstairs. There we go. Finally, the last one. And I did it without burning myself too horribly. It's awesome. Changing the tip while hot. Not a skill I recommend. Almost like now the iron is working better. It's like we've got, you know, a good temperature going on now. Sounds like a mower on camera, and you're not wrong, because at the same time that this noise up right here on the ceiling is happening, the mowing company is mowing right outside the garage door, and the garage door is not great for you know, tapping out sound. So let's try and tin these little pads. And I admit, I have never done this before. So what we don't want to do is get solder from one connection to the next, because it'll just short out. So I'm wondering with my skills if I should even tin it, and maybe I should just already try and get the wires on super, super carefully. And we said that the 5-volt is near me, right? I'm just going to cheat and flip up because I trust you guys, but I don't trust me. But yes, the 5-volt is near me, just like David put it in writing in the chat so I can see it. But yes, it looks like the lawnmowers are going away, but I'm not sure about that sound if they're gonna keep going with that. So let me now put this over here with the shortest of all wires. So I'm gonna have to move this just a little closer to me here for a sec. And we're gonna try and bring these guys together. It's like they're meeting for the first time. Oh, look guys, I had this pretty much in the correct order. So these guys are meeting for the first time. And can I bring you further down? Or are you stuck? No, you're stuck there. All right. So. This is interesting. So I think it's the camera's like, how do I focus on this? But, well, I'll get it to focus here in a moment. I'm gonna move these guys out of the way. And I'm just gonna try and get him to touch that contact. There we go. I mean, it's not really touching, but I think I can push it down. Oh, I need to get it closer to you guys. There we go. And I'll get this out of the way so you can see. So I have the red wire like almost touching that contact, and I'm gonna try and like go in on this side with the solder and try and not get it onto that center one. We'll see how successful I am. So let me grab all the stuff I need. Here we go. And this is where I wish that other tip would work out a little bit better. See here, guys, drum roll as to how this is gonna work out. I mean, ooh, I think do I have it? No, I don't. It's just a whole bunch of like teasing me here. Oh, it is. It's actually on there. No, I thought I saw a gap, but I don't. So let me just get now. That's where pre-tinning the wires really help, because you just remelt that solder. And let me just get a little more on top. This is where I botch it, guys. All right. I think hopefully that's not too botched. I'm gonna wire this whole thing and be like, no, none of it works. So, all right, so that's that. And I don't see any of it going onto the corresponding pad. So let me reposition now for the green. I need you. Sometimes these little hands feel too far apart, but there we go. So I'm going to use the same technique where, because the wire is pre-tinned, I'm going to push it against the contact, and hopefully it'll work. Gordon BR is crossing his fingers. Thank you. We all need to be like, okay, this is like tedious, but it's going to be so worth it when the lights are all going. It's going to look so good, guys. We go. Don't budge it. Don't budge it. Just trying to use this tip, part of the tip. I don't think that's stuck. Oh, it almost stuck, and then I botched it. I'm scared to add solder to that. I mean, it seems on there. And once it's on the backing, it's not like it's going to move around a ton. I'm afraid that I'll glop it. I don't know, should I go for it? You know me, I'm always like, let's do it! And then, oh no! Maybe if I pre-tin the tip real well, and then just use the solder. on the tip. And that didn't do anything. I'm chickening out. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm totally chickening out here because they seem pretty on there, so I'm not too worried. All right, let me let go of that one. And let me do the white one now. And then we got all of our connections. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take the tail end here and connect it to that little single one. So let's see if I can get this touching. It's like, you want to touch. That's the worst, is just trying to position these while holding the soldering iron in your hand, I'm not gonna put it down or anything, that'd be too easy. All right, there we go. So as long as I kind of help hold it, it's got a nice piece of solder there on the end. Here we go, people. Let me clean the tip. Hold your breath. I know some of you have been holding your breath this whole time. It's like I'm turning black and blue, people. Tin the tip, and that might be all we need. Wait. That's what I did the last time. I didn't let it cool, and then I ripped it right the heck off. So let's let it cool this time and see what happens. So, okie dokie. That seems pretty good. All right, moving on. Put this guy here, and I'm going to just reposition what we have going on. And so this little guy, now I'm going to take that. Where did I put that? Where did that put that single little LED? Oh, wait, here. When you like really make a place for something because it's like, I absolutely cannot forget it. And then, yeah, you forget it. So this is going to be like this. So we have to remove this backing panel here. I'm removing the blue and also the adhesive tape there. This little guy's kind of staying. Oh, I keep thinking it's like hot because I already burnt myself, so I'm all paranoid. There. Ooh, I don't want to crush the pixel. I'll put it very gently. And there we go. Now we can do the same. And ooh, wait a minute. Let me make sure I have the data line going from here to here, because that would be, we don't know if it's like this or the other way. So, I was about to screw it up. So all I'm doing now is the data comes in through here and the little arrow. So we have to do this and the 5 volts on this side, yeah? Good thing I checked. And now the toughest part, which is peeling all these little backings off. And I'm going to test it by feeling it. Yep, nope, feels nice and smooth, no adhesive. And we're going to stick it right back in the clamp. And that's nice because now the clamp is kind of holding I'll move this where you guys can see. The clamp is holding the little adhesive tape right there. Focus right here, camera. What's it loving? It's loving this thing right here. So remove. You got to figure out what's just like, what scene the camera is really liking. Like, oh, I like what's going on here. All right. And I probably should have started from the back to the front. So I'm going to do that this time. And I think I'll just hold it on instead of struggling. Here we go. That might be kind of all up in your way, but trying to hold it as steady as possible, and I'm letting go and I'm letting it cool so I don't jack it up. And it looks like we have separation there, which is nice. I keep looking to make sure I didn't like, you know, get the globs to come together. Yep, so that's nicely on there. So let's do the data line, that green data line. I was about to put that guy on backwards, and then we'd be trying to figure out, like, why is this ambient lighting not working? And then we'll do a nice big strip. And right here, getting all lost, people, getting all lost. And my hands might be kind of in your way. Hold that there. Like if you're real quiet, it almost sticks better. And David Beck is saying, clearly you heard me psychically before the comment showed up. Yep, indeed. Indeed. All right, so that looks like they're each in their own little contact, although the green one is a little shoved close to the red, so I'm gonna have to shove the red one a little further from the green. Well, that's gross. I'm going to need a new brass ball. It's running out of brass. I only see a bunch of silver up in here. Solder. Okay, the red. And I'm going to totally be up in your faces with my hand. Sorry about that. I should have probably prepared this a bit better. There. No, please don't touch. Please don't touch the green. Make it like square dancing. I don't know if you guys ever had that at school. And you do it like in middle school where like girls and guys still don't like each other. It's like, ew, cooties, you know? And it's a dance, it's like square dancing, country dancing, where you have to hold hands and things. And so I remember, because we're so immature, it's like, oh, I don't want to hold hands. So if you were wearing long sleeves, you would wrap your sleeve around your hand so you don't have to touch the boy cooties or the girl cooties. So that's kind of like what I'm applying here. It's square dancing for middle schoolers. Y'all don't want to touch because each wire has their cooties. So I think this is looking pretty good. We should be cooled down enough, you know, hopefully. So theoretically now the way this would work is as I move things completely out of the way and make sure that tip is not touching anything, I'm going to bring our board back up on here and move this solder. I'm going to put the soldering stuff over there and our little thing I'm going to put over here and our board. Okay, so now we have something like this. And somehow I'm going to try and take this tape off and like bring you guys in on the action here. So this I would put over here and we'll hot glue gun it. For now, I'm just gonna tape everything down, and that's the tiniest piece of tape. What is going on there? That's just gonna bust right out. So we're going to tape him down like that. And then this guy here is gonna go in here, and I can use a little hot glue to, you know, just tack this down. But this guy is gonna go right here because that'll allow me to send wires now all the way up to the top. And clearly you can't see that, but you know, let me see if I can back you guys up and bring this forward. So the idea is now we're gonna send wires that are gonna go from here all the way to the top of our lightning bolt. And then we're gonna send another set of LEDs down. And this will be nice because now we have like strips now to deal with rather than these little tiny ones. So what I can do is pre-tin another set of wires that are going to go up here. I think supposedly I could probably start it here. And then you can run No, but then the data line is coming up through here. I think I'd rather have it through here. So yes, now this is where, even though we don't have any LEDs attached, as I travel up here, you're still gonna get that voltage loss. So you can't think of it as 1 meter of LEDs. You'll see voltage drop. It's 1 meter per power line, you know, so think of your power line. So we definitely are gonna need to infuse both sides, if not more, maybe one other point of infusion. But we'll get there. And so I can remove this whole thing, and well, before I do that, let's measure how much I'm gonna need here. And so if this guy is coming from here, and I'll just kind of, actually, why am I going that way? This way is easier. Like that. And he is gonna go into here. And I'm just going to stretch a little bit more, just to give us a little bit of that slack that we might need. And now that I have the red, I'm just gonna measure out the same length of green, or not quite yet, because I don't know if I want the ambient tied with this. And for right now, I'm thinking I'm going with option 2, where each group of lighting effects is gonna go into a separate Arduino pin. So I don't wanna tie up all the greens, I'll have to cut them out later. So, and we're not gonna be gluing any of this just yet. This is just masking taped. Then I can remove the masking tape and green up whatever connections I want. Like if I decide to put it all just on one strip, I'll just green them up. Connect them via a green data line. So that's what I mean by greening them up. And so let me get this guy here. And so we'll only work with these for now. And the strip. And how long of a strip do we want? And I'm going to actually get my chair out of the way. Stand up. So my head's gonna get chopped off a bit, but just kind of show you guys what's going on here. So we have our data line, and the signal is gonna travel this way. So we're gonna start at the top, and kind of, I'm wondering, because these don't bend so well, but we don't need to have the LED strip exactly follow this, because we are gonna put it on top of that diffusing material. And so parts of the lightning bolt will be brighter than others, and I think that might look more natural than just like a big old string of LEDs. So I think I'm going to try and follow the general shape, which is from here to here, and then the main trunks. Then here's the other main trunk, and then here is the final trunk. So what we could do is, in essence, cut here so it can make the turn. It's going to have to make a, you know, not even a 45. I mean, that is like closer than a 45, you know, maybe like a 30 something. And then down here, this will be one strip, and then this will be, I mean, it might have to be 2 strips. So let's see here what we got and where we have to cut. So I think I like that LED there. So I'm gonna cut right here. I'm gonna bring you guys in. Whoop, wrong way. I'm gonna cut right here. And because of the data line, we're always gonna know once we name, you know, LED 1 through, you know, however many we use, or LED 0 actually in the code. So now, oh, hold on, data line. So it's gonna go like this, which you guys totally can't see. There we go. It's gonna go like that. So let me wrap this up. We'll get our lightning bolt done. And that'll be a good accomplishment. So one of the things I'm gonna do is run the wire from our situation here. So I'm gonna go back to this little guy and get him soldered up, and then we'll solder to the end of this guy at the top of this guy right here. So he'll stay there, and let me pull this guy out. I'm gonna put him aside, not lose him this time, and pull the board off, you know, because I already learned my lesson trying to do things on the board. And bring in our soldering. and hold breath this time that we don't cross the streams or keep it line dancing, middle school level line dancing. So let me set this up in a way that I'm not gonna mess myself up. But in fact, we already have guides, so I can see where the red is and all that. So let me get him. I'm gonna bring you guys in on the action. It's like I'm grabbing everything but the camera here. And there we go. And let me scooch in my own self. Okay, I got both glasses. All right, we're good. And this is still hot. Yep. I like this little stone or a little piece of tile, although I never really had problem with solder falling directly on the wood. Once it cools, you can just flick it off. Very easy. So it doesn't really, damage anything. So here I go. I have my solder, and first we are going to tin the tips. Let's not mess around this time. That technique worked the best. Just tinning the tips of these little wires made our lives a ton easier. So there's one, and I am just cutting up another one. There. I can't wait to see this done. I think it's going to look so cool with the fog coming out. And so the only thing that I think will be tricky for me to code, because it's my first time working with the lightning detector, is the actual distances, like distance X through Y, this will happen, then distance A through B, this will happen. So I'm going to have to somehow figure that out, but I'll see if there's some examples, or if you guys find examples of code. Always, the best place to post them up is on Discord. And I think I'm even going to create an additional channel that's just called Arduino code. And it can be a repository of cool codes that we find, cool projects that we can post, so we can replicate them or build upon them. And I know a lot of times, you'll be building something and have to troubleshoot. Sometimes it's nice to have an example to go after. All right, now I'm going to use this tape just to hold it a little bit. This poor tape's like lost all its sticky, but it's got just enough. And I see that the red is on this side furthest from me, so that's good because that's where I want to start. And oh, let's tin it. Here I am. I was about to jack it up. Let's tin this wire first. You all tinned up. This is a long piece. It's like, holy heck. I trimmed off quite a bit. There we go. Now you can come together and hold hands. But just this hand, not the other hands. Just this one. Right there. Line it up. There. That's pretty good. Make sure I get a clean tip. And I'm just using like the outermost little edge of that tip, because this tip is just so big it's going to get solder all over the other contacts, which we don't want. So let me put one of my glasses on, right? That would be helpful. Can I do this? And I fudged it. It was doing really well. You know what? Let me tin this tip a little bit better. And I think I'll get it. It's wanting to, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. This chick has cooties. I don't know if I want to touch her. think I'm being too chicken. Nothing like putting your finger right on. Did it do it? Oh, it might have done it. It might have done it. But it doesn't look too strong. I'm going to try, and since it's on the edge there, I'm going to try and globulate a little bit more solder. They must be mowing the whole block. Yeah, they mow the entire thing, and you can hear them from far, far away. I'm going to hold the solder on this side so it doesn't risk running over. Oh, people, where will it go? I'm being all chicken. Why you no melt? Before I do that, let's just make sure that I shouldn't leave well enough alone. Yeah, I should probably leave well enough alone. See, he's on there. He's on there. I'm sitting there forcing a relationship. They're like, yeah, we held hands. You know, stop it. Don't move us any further. We're good. We're good. So now I'm going to do the white. And let me get him all tinned up. Sometimes you try and force a relationship. It just doesn't work. And I think, David, we might be picking up a little bit of this fan sound too. That might be it. But they're kind of moving away, so I'm hoping that the mowing sound will be done soon. It's like I'm poking it. It's like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to form this relationship. Oh. Don't slip hand. There we go. You always think, oh, we're just doing soldering today. That's quick. You know, you just go ding, ding, ding. Nope, no ding, ding, ding. There's no sound effect. Such sound effect. It's usually like, oh, come on. That sound effect. So let me see if I can now move it to its position and get it to kind of almost be there. And then I'll hold it with my hand. Really close to the really hot iron. Okay. This thing all tinned. And, ooh, how will I do this? There we go. Yeah, this is terrible. Terrible idea. Ooh, I can feel the heat. Oh, it's on there. I'm not going to touch it. All I'm going to try and do is move it. I need it to scooch just a little bit because it is almost on that other contact. Can you scooch over here? Can you scooch over here? Thank you. Move you. Oh, no. Let me see if I can unsolder you. There. And let me get this cleaned up. Now I got it into a good position. And we can go for it. It's good. I think it's good. One thing I also didn't do is check to see, let's see if this will focus on here, what kind of solder this is. Leaded or unleaded. I usually like to work with leaded because I find it's way easier. And one way you can tell leaded is that, see that little shiny ball right there? Leaded is typically shiny, whereas unleaded is dull, you know, so that's how you know. And that fumes that come up isn't actually the lead. You know, a lot of people think, oh no, I'm breathing in molten or you know, gaseous lead. It's actually the rosin core inside the wire. And that's why it's nice to have a nice breeze going across my face right here and carrying that away. So we got that end. And now let's do these other ends onto the LED strip. And we got our lightning started. And this time I won't peel off so much. Geez, it was a bit much the last time. Yeah, so not bad for my first time. My first LED, well, I shouldn't say that because we haven't plugged it in to see if it works. That could be pretty bad. Pretty bad. There, got these all twisted up, and I'm going to pre-tin these wires, but I'm also going to set up the other strip to do kind of what we did, where it was like tin, connect, tin, connect. You know, I think that's a better workflow. So now I'll get these guys. And I'll start with power. And now we got to figure out the direction. Hold on, let me pull up, you know, we need that mechanism. It's like glass number 2, glass number 3, you know, some kind of hinge here that does that. That might be another project, a fall project or something. But I'm sure they got to make something like that. Now I got to get on like Amazon and see. They have to. All right, so if the data is coming in through here, it's going to follow along. So my arrow has to be pointing that way, which it is. So that means that the 5 volt is furthest from me, furthest. But let me take this little tape off. Oh, the worst part is taking the tape off. There. I'm gonna put you over here. I'm gonna use this clamp to hold the tape down. There we go. And what did I say? Furthest from me, right? Furthest. Do this without touching the iron. Yes, furthest from me. All right. That's the toughest part, getting the little arms working properly. And once I remove this, the camera should focus correctly. And we're gonna tin this wire first. Bring in all my gear. I ended up breaking so many, you know how the coasters come in a set. Well, over time, all my fancy little leopard print stone fell on the floor, whatever, broke. This was the last guy left. And I thought, I got some purpose for you. You're not retiring just yet. Not yet. Oh, come here. And having the fan so close kind of cools off the connection, but we've always been able to get through it. Ooh, that's a nice glob. That's no good. There we go. Now that's tinned, and let's position, and I said furthest away, right? So, look at me, I'm not even checking. I'm just going for it. And change the orientation. I hear Ripley barking. Might be somebody at the door for one of the cool things I ordered for our projects. Okay, maybe if I can hold this with my hand right there, we'll be good. Furthest from you this time. I know somebody's watching. We need, one of y'all has to be watching what I'm doing, because listen, don't depend on me. I will screw it up. And David is saying 3D print the hinge for the glasses. 3D printing project. That might not be bad. That's one of the goodies I'm thinking of adding to the shop, is a 3D printer. And now I stop talking as I try and get this done. I'm gonna be rude to you guys. just hold it in place while it cools. Nice. A little close to the other contact, but not touching, not touching. We're doing our square dancing. And where's the other guy? Here. So let's get him all tinned up. Him all tinned up. Yeah, so for like 3D printing, I always like to show a way to do a project without 3D printing, because I know not everyone has a 3D printer. And it does open all kinds of possibilities. I think a good example of that is the lightning bolt that I just hand carved. Listen, would a CNC machine made my life a ton easier, or one of those glow forges? I've been seeing ads for those everywhere, and they look pretty cool. I've never used one, so I've seen other people use them, and they look super easy, and it carves everything out like a perfect lightning storm. But you can do it by hand. Mine ended up not looking too shabby. So even if I do get a 3D printer, I always like to give, like, here's how you would do it 3D printing, but here's how you would do it without it. There's always ways. It takes a little longer, but it does it. Oh, it's a little bit dirty. Some dirty solder. But I think this spool is just kind of dirty. It's very old. I ended up finding it, and I'm like, oh, I'm putting you to the test. Yeah, it's kind of dirty, but we'll do it. The toughest part now, getting these two to square dance. I mean, I can almost just do this type of business. I mean, hold it in place. Especially since my hands are being extra steady today. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe not as much coffee as I normally have. Be good, don't touch the other contact. Flip the tip over. Oh, there we go. And be very still. Very slowly. I think that's pretty good. All right, no wigglage. It's gonna be now tough to get that middle guy. You know, me doing it this way, I might be making my life a little bit easier, but I'm almost positive that I'm gonna go with my option 2 and group all of our things into their own little groups, each with its own data pin that's going to go to the Arduino. So I think I'm going to be okay doing it this way. Famous last words. So now we have this lightning. We have some lightning. I'm going to put that there, make sure the tip's not touching anything. And let's lay our board one more time. And show you guys what is going on. Whoop. There we go. The stream was like, no, I don't want to switch there. This is going to be bad. I don't want to switch. Let me just kind of, oh, look at that. If I turn it, getting fancy with my skills here. All right. Oh, I just realized I forgot to connect the other side of the white. Look. So I have it connected. These two from the lightning are all connected. And then, oh, he's not connected. So I'm going to have to connect him. But still, we can start the other side of this lightning. And I'll just remember to go back and do that while we have the soldering iron out. So we have these two over here. Tape him. Then we got this little guy kind of here. And then this is going to go up here over top of our paper. And then this, we're going to get it to turn. Actually, I should cut it here. Cut one one short, and I'm going to put this guy somewhere where I can remember so he can be a thundercloud. We have a little thundercloud right here. I'm going to put him aside. And that way I can do another strip. Tape them down. It's being unruly. Be kind of like in this general vicinity. And then this guy will come here. Something like this. Be kind of nice if he... Shouldn't have kinked this lightning over here as much as I did. But that's just me not using the Dremel too well. If you like are really bad at using the Dremel, you're gonna come up with some awesome lightning patterns, because this is all just the slip of the hand creating a lot of this. So I almost have to go here and then do another sharp turn, because if I just go like that, then this whole thing is gonna kind of be missed. It's gonna be a little weird. And remember, the lightning is like bright, 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 and it branches off, and like this little branch by itself, we'll see. We might LED it, or we might just let the light naturally just dissipate. You know, as it follows the main one, the branches can be a little bit lighter, you know, like real lightning. So yes, I think I'm gonna do, and this feels like 2 LEDs. This is getting intricate, people, as I knew it would. And then we're going to tape this to our fine paper, or our dish foam. So now let me see how much wire we need. Like barely anything. So these go with these. Which means, look at me guys, I already did it the wrong way. And let me bring this up to you. I already taped it like this, with this facing, which really it needs to go facing up. Look at me. All right, people, come on, pay attention. Pay attention. I'm already screwing it up. All right, I want to move this guy down. So the last LED is in this intersection here. And he'll be about here. We don't have to be super precise. And then the data line, is traveling this way. So then he'll go over here. We need a tiny, tiny little bit of wire. Just a tiny bit. Like maybe something like this. But a little longer so I can actually work with it. There. White and a data line, because all these are going to be part of the same group, you know, obviously the lightning. So I can go ahead and connect the green here, just like we did the ambiance down here. We went ahead and connected the green because I already know that they're going to be part of the same pin group. We'll call them pin groups, Arduino pin groups. Unless I figure out the code on how to segmentize the entire strip, then we'll just bag the whole one, and then I just make sure the entire strip is connected via one green, and that's easy enough to do after the fact. And of course, I'll test and make all these decisions before permanently attaching any of these guys on there. So I'm going to put these aside for now. And the first thing I'm going to do, put him aside, is fix this disconnected situation over here, because I will forget. I know me. You guys know me better than I know me, and you know that I will forget. So let's get this guy over here. But here we go. And this. Make sure I got everything I need. Where's my fine leopard print coaster? And there we go. So I need to connect this white with this pad right here. So let me hold this. And did it just come undone? Oh, that wasn't a good solder job. Look, they both came undone. The red and the white was never connected, but the red. So let's resolder, and I'm going to give these guys a good tug just to really make sure. But this was like one of our first connections. So, okay, we're getting better. The first one didn't hold up too well, but every subsequent one seems to be doing well. And now I can use the existing order that I got going on here. Red, green, and white to kind of line all this up. So let me get him all ready. And we're going to do the red one first since it's... And where's my iron? I'm going to try and get some of this solder off and re-tin this wire here. Let it cool off just a little bit. And Ripley is not happy. I'm sure you guys hear her. I think there's somebody at the door. All right, and David said, good call. I was just thinking about the power lines and forgot the data line cannot be done in parallel. Yeah, very, very true. So I'm going to tin this guy over here and move this where you guys can see him. And I am getting all kinds of tangled up in here. So yeah, that's the biggest thing is like the power lines. You don't really have to worry which side the strip is. But that data line, if you reverse it, you're going to be wondering why your amazing lighting scheme is not so amazing. Trust me, this project would not be a Rachel project without us reversing it at least one time. At least one time. All right, I am just going to back off. Oh, I've already turned this not hot enough. That's why our joints were looking kind of funky. Because with this, anytime you hold the pencil, this little dial over here, I accidentally turn it. And it turns, sometimes it'll turn up really hot, and then other times it'll turn pretty much off. So that's what was happening in our joints. It was taking too long to heat up. So we got it. We got it now. There we go. And the tip is nicer. Remember when I was like, oh, this solder is dirty? It's no, because the temperature wasn't hot enough and we were getting, the tip wasn't clean enough. There we go. Now let's re-tin you. Double tin. Yeah, that is way better. All right, I always have to remember to check that little dial. Something that a soldering station will very much help out with. One less thing that I have to worry about. Plus, you can get much better control over your temperatures. You can set it via this dial, you know, and you get a couple options. But a soldering station will allow you to solder at much hotter temperatures, which is great for certain metals. All right, let's see if I can now... I think last time I just kind of held it on there and it worked out pretty good. So I'm going to do the same. Where'd it go? There we go. Trying to think of how easy it is for me to kind of hold it like this. Or maybe I'll hold it like this. And this is going to be kind of obstructing your guys' view a little bit, but let me think. Maybe I can hold it like that. That's not that uncomfortable. Yes, solder flux. That's good. I actually have that. It's over on the in the toolbox there. So I have a little jar of it that I use for some especially troublesome jobs. And it works awesome. You just dip your wires right in there. And I will go get it if it turns out we need it. But I think the other joints turned out well. It was just these initial ones, I think, where I was learning. So here we go. Actually, let me tin this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to try and push you away from the other contact. That looks really good, people. If I do say so myself. I'm just holding it in place with the steadiest of hands. All right, I'm gonna let that do its thing while we... Did I tin this already? Yes. And this one's more freshly tinned. So I'm gonna move that, and that is on there. So I think our problem was the heat wasn't, I didn't realize that the dial had been turned down on that heat, and we were getting very good joints. Let me pre-tin this mess. There we go. Hold the wire somehow in a way that you guys can see and I can actually, ooh, that's gonna be hot. It's like if I'm quiet, I can get it to work better. Away. Back away. Okay, I think that's good. Whoa, what are you doing in there? Okay, feeling good, looking good. I'm gonna move you out and figure out where we were. So, that's where it starts. The data travels this way. Here I'm leaving no data because in case I want to control the lightning separately. Goes through here, and now we want to connect it to here. And, oh, wrong way. Flip. And that's going to go like this. And we cut out a couple wires. So I'm going to tin all these up and then we'll connect them. So let's get them, oops, trimmed up on each side. Worst soldering was during a wrench army stream when we were trying to solder to the side of a vape pen. Remember, like the ground connection, I think it was? That was just the worst. That's where I needed a lot more heat and where I'm like, you know what? It's probably time to trade up to a soldering station at this point. But we got it. It looked really ugly, really ugly, but we got it. So one of the things that I'm trying to do now is cut off these little strands a little shorter. I'm having them a bit long only because I'm used to having to twist wires together, that whole thing. But for this, you need very little wire to make that contact. Maybe not as little as what I just did. I got too carried away. There we go. So I'm trying to shorten. It probably should be even shorter than that, but baby steps, people, baby steps. And one more. Whoops. Wrong hole. Wrong hole. Well, that's weird. That only like half went. What happened? Oh. Okay, now I need double glasses. This is not good. Alright, and I'm going to make this one just a little bit more. I chickened out, and I'm like, I'm going to cut these super short, and then I just chickened out right there. Alright, so let's tin these guys. I'm going to bring him in. Uh-oh. His arm fell off. There, let's see if we can triple tin. Triple tin! Action! There we go. And, oh, I'm like, where's the iron? Where's the iron? That's like worse than where's my glasses. When you can't even find the soldering iron in its proper holder and everything, you got problems. I'm gonna bring this a little more into view for you guys because I'm gonna try and hit up all these little ends at the same time. Why aren't you focusing? Right here. Does that burn the wire? Because I'm paying attention to you guys. There we go. What does it like? Ooh, there we go. If I touch certain things, follows my finger. Get it to focus on the correct thing. Which one did I do? The white? I believe so. And that's the green. Some people call it tinning the wires. I've also heard it called wetting the wires, which I imagine works too, because that's pretty much what we're doing. And now we're going to do these three over here. Oh, stop jumping around. Let me do a quick temperature check. And look at you loving to budge. It's like wanting to cool off. It's like it's Friday, you know? Come on. I don't want to be doing this. Wants to take off early, this soldering iron. We got a tip that already, that already took off early. Let me switch to this bigger tip. I could probably keep going, just wire after wire. I don't know that I have to clean the tip every time. So textbook, oh my gosh. There we go. David Beck says, high five! And yes, C. Ching did have a good idea with his solder flux or solder flux, depending on which side of the pond you're on. Gonna make a better little electronics, you know, section, so I got that all at the ready. All right, let me see what I got going on here. So, I imagine just gonna peel off our, this is the worst part. No, it's like double-sided tape. And then you butcher the actual spongy part of the tape, then you actually peel off. You peel off that actual sponge that you need, and then then you got to start a whole other piece because you've damaged your piece. That's kind of how I feel that this is going here with this peeling. Little tape to hold that together, and then I'm just, yep, all that adhesive is off of there. And then I'm going to put this guy like this. And, okay, so we got the ground on this side. The ground is furthest from me, so I'm just gonna freeform and hold it and take advantage of my very steady hands for today, because I don't always have that. Sometimes you're just like, got the coffee jitters. Real quiet in here, people. Real quiet. Whoop, 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 whoop. come the lawnmowers. Just when I said it's got to get real quiet up in here, the lawnmower man comes. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the data line, or data line. David Beck is asking, do carousel horses neigh when Frau B is mentioned? Probably, because, you know, it's all the evilness, I'm sure. Tin the iron tip there, and here we go. Don't touch the ground. Oh. Just when I was saying I had steady hands, the wire wanted to slip. Don't jump over to the other contact. Be good. I totally would not mind a much wider strip just to have wider contacts. Oh, you did not stick. And I'm holding it very still. Okay, good. Final one. And yes, I do have the orientation correct. I always check because I don't trust myself. No way. I think all horses neigh, even the little plastic miniature ones, which I'm trying to find, by the way. I am trying to find 2 little plastic miniature horses that we can put with our castle build right at the top of the hill, just to celebrate Frau Blücher. And if I could get like an MP3 or something of neighing that goes off periodically, oh my gosh, guys, that would be too hilarious. I don't know if that went. Oh, that was probably good, and then I budged it. All right, I think that's good. I think that's good. That one feels pretty good. That one feels good. And the solder joints look nice and shiny. There was a point there where they were looking dull, so I knew something was up, and it was that temperature control. So let's move on to the little duo that we have here to help us make that bend in the lightning. And the data arrow, has to be pointing this way. There we go. And let me just confirm here. Yes. So this guy will have to go like this. So let me prep the peeling. No. Oh, man. So I peeled, but here's the adhesive. So now I got to peel the adhesive. They didn't come up together the way I like. And Si Ching is saying, such a small surface area to put enough solder. Nice work, Rachel. Yeah, I'll have to admit, I'm quite impressed by my, miniaturizing skills and just holding really steady. But yeah, these contacts are crazy tiny. And I don't know if they're all like this, having this be the very first strip that I'm working with. So I don't know if they're all like this, but man, this one is, maybe there are others where the contacts are slightly further apart. Can you imagine doing 4? I'm struggling with 3. Some of these strips have 4. And let me double check. Yes. So I'll hold you about right here. And I don't like to put it right on the pixel. There we go. And I know that they make heat sinks, which is a little clamp that you can clamp between LEDs or between your joint that helps the heat not travel up to your LED and protect it. But I don't have one, so we're going for it. No heat sink, and I'm trying to be conscientious of how long I'm holding the iron onto this. And Si Ching is saying, no wonder they sell connectors. Yeah, that makes it much, much easier. So let me make sure I got the order right here, and I do. Oh, where's my iron at? There I go again. That's worse than the glasses. But that's an idea now. I'm going to start to think of a prototype for like double or triple glasses, depending on, you know, if you need different zooming or just a basic safety glass. Because I know there are some safety glasses that have a tint, like if you're working outside. So you can have that, you can have the indoor one, all part of the same apparatus. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh, that's hot. Let that cool a little before I start messing with it. Temperature check. All right. Oh, don't touch. Come closer, my little friend. And don't touch. We're doing middle school square dancing. The other connections have cooties. Don't touch them. Oh, I am not even touching the connection. I am just doing the wire. Ow, 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 ow. Not the best way to do it, but at least the best way for me of having control over not solderizing the entire thing into one giant block. A little too close. I already know I'm going to burn myself. You back away slowly. So that looks pretty good. Let me just, I think I got a little close there. But they're not touching. They are not touching. Nice. Nice. So, get that off and bring back the board. The lightning board. And let's see if I can lay it kind of sideways for you guys like I did the last time. And back you away. Whoop, wrong way. Back it on up. There we go. So, where are we with everything? We got these little guys that I'll just kind of hold with my hands. And then it'll go up here. And then what will eventually happen is from this end that does not have a data pin line, if I go with my plan for right now, I'll connect one and then this will go straight to the Arduino. Just like this little data pin right here will go straight to the Arduino. So I think I have 7 leftover pins after attaching the lightning detector. So I may have 6, 7 extra pins. So we can do 6, 7 lighting schemes. So I think that's more than enough. So we already know what's going on down here. I'm going to hold this with my hand. Ooh. Sharp solders, sharp solders. And then this is going to make a turn for the worse. No, a turn for the better. And he's going to go like that. And then now we're going to follow along this leg. So we're going to do another strip. Hopefully I can just do one strip and not have to do a whole bunch of like little LEDs. And David Beck is adding more words to the dictionary, solderizing to the dictionary. Yes, we are, listen, these projects are so cool that we can't use average existing words. We got to make up new words for them because this is going to look so cool. And you guys are the ones with all the awesome ideas. So it's because of you. All right, so this is going to go like that. All right, so you guys can see how pretty much I'm going to keep doing the same thing until I go all the way down to the bottom. And for now, chime in your opinion, either right now or if you need to think about it a little bit, hop on Discord and chime in there as to whether you think I need to actually LED this little branch and then LED this little branch, or if I should do the main trunk and let that ambient light kind of hit these guys up. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys. So we got the idea here. I just wanted to try this out and, you know, make sure this works. And then let's LED up the main ambiance because I can kind of like, you know, finish this up on my own and not subject you guys to more, more fine-tuned soldering. So let's see what we have here. Since we're not going to connect the data pins anyways, we can see what we got. Now, let me back you guys up as much as possible. Is that it? Is that all you guys go? So maybe this way. And also chime in. Let me know what you think of the comments, you know, on this side. I know some of you are watching from different platforms, and I usually call out the comments all out loud, but sometimes you're in the middle of it and you just answer the question and people are like, what did this person even ask? You know, so it's right there. You know, if it's distracting, let me know. We'll remove it, so we'll get kind of a consensus of what you guys think. Let me get this out of the way. I'll put you up here. And then move this to kind of somewhat so you guys can see it. And let me see which view is best. Maybe something kind of like that. The comments are a little bit in the way. But you get the idea. So we have our backing panel that's going to lay in like this. And I might have to sand it somewhere. It keeps getting caught on my side here. The side closest to me. So let me put that one in first. There we go. Yes. So there's something going on here. As long as I put this corner in first, we're good. So we have our lighting that's going to be coming through the back and lighting up through the panel, our little ambiance lighting here. But one of the things that I'd like to do is also put a strip here to go down to about here, and then a strip that goes down to about the same amount on the other side. And that way, that will shine down on our castle. And also, with this strip, we can tie it into the thundercloud. So maybe they can be part of the same pin group and they can flash during a thunderstorm. So I thought putting it on the outermost side, so that way it doesn't shine like behind the castle or anything like that. And then the LED strip will be hidden by our window here because see, there's a lip. There's a lip here and I can hide my hand. So the LED strip will be tucked away in here and just shine down onto our castle. So I thought, you know, doing something like this, we can do cool blues. We can do maybe that darker bluish amber that happens as the sun is going down. We can also do a gradient where it starts off more yellowy amber, moves into that pink haze that you get, lighter blue, darker blue up here, and repeat that same pattern on the other side. So that might be a cool, it's a bright sunny day outside, like for real outside, and the detector is just not detecting any lightning. And in that case, we can have that ambience going with our little flickers of the castle. We can decide whether we want the lightning bolt to just go off sometimes periodically. And maybe when it's not real lightning, we can make it a certain color. And when it's real lightning, the color changes. So we can decide once this is wired up, heck, it's just code. We can figure all that out. So the idea now is, one thing I wanted to try and plan out is all of our wiring is in the back of this thing. So how do we pop the wiring out to come up here? So I'm just going to lift this for a second and see where we're going to be. So the idea is this is where it's going to start. Our wiring is going to run and then it's going to run down the length. So we're going to have wire here is going to be probably the last thing. So I'm thinking maybe I can run wire and maybe notch something here where we can just then flip to the other side. And let me put this side in first. So basically notch right here where then we can lay our LED strip going up across, and there'll be a tiny little wire or 3 sets of wires here right here that once we put on our main shell, you know, our main window, I doubt you're even going to be able to see it. Yeah, you totally will not even be able to see that. It's going to be notched, and then we're going to have our LED strip. So I think that answers that question. Let me do a quick notchery, and we can go ahead and figure. So that's figured out right there. We're going to run LEDs, wire that up, but I'm going to hold off on the wiring because we have to finish our lightning bolt first before we wire this. But I'm just kind of like planning this with you guys because you've seen how the wiring works. And then at the end of the day, what we're going to have to do to put our lighting schemes together, if we do the 1 pin per group, it's a little bit easier. As long as you know how many LEDs. I'll just do it with this. Now it wants to be in there. First it didn't want to get in there. Now it's like I don't want to leave. Nothing you can say will do it. It's just being a teenager right now, you know? So I'll just lay this and get rid of myself here for a second, or just move myself. So that's not even better. God, where do I put myself? There we go. So basically we have our wiring. Oh, that makes it even easier for me. It's like now right here where I can work with it. So obviously this is on the other side of the board, but we're just going to lay it on top like this. This is going to come like this. This is going to come all the way up here. Then it... Oh, that pesky little thing. So yes, these are kind of delicate. They don't... I'm going to have to reconnect that guy. So, oh, you little, like, don't wire on Fridays. It's like, it's Friday. I don't want to work. I don't want to work. And I've lost my other, oh no, it's right here. It's connected. Clearly it's Friday because my own brain doesn't want to work. It's like everything is right in front of me and I'm still not figuring it out. So we have our things going here. This is going to come up behind the board. Then this guy is going to be right here. We're going to follow this pattern all the way down, unless you guys want me to LED up some of these branches. So do let me know either in the comments here or in the in Discord. And so that will work that way. And then from here, we're going to just, behind the board, we're going to run a wire and have it pop open from here. And then we'll adhere it here. But if I adhere it, then I won't be able to solder very easily. So that problem is pretty easy. Now, the other lighting that I wanted to do that almost, I think this is just going to have to be on its own pin. Even if I managed to find out how to have all of this working on one pin and segmentize the different effects into different LED segments, this one I think will be tough. And Valley of Fire has joined us. He's saying, hi, Rachel. Hey, and welcome back. The other thing I wanted to do was, this will be kind of tough to show you. So we have the board lighting, which we figured out. We have this internal ambiance lighting that we figured out. But I was thinking of doing one more, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion. So this is the completed window. And I'm going to bring this just to, let's see which side. I'm going to bring this to this side so you guys can kind of see. This is the area I'm going to be talking about. So one of the things I was thinking, the way this is going to work is I'm going to put this on a hinge, this outer portion. So anytime we have to fix something, or if I have to re-glue anything on here on the front side, I'll just be able to open it up like a book, you know, like that. And catching on the iron there, I'll be able to open this piece like a book and be able to do whatever my fixings. But better yet, I'll be able to open this like a book, you know, and I'll just kind of move it away for now, but pretend it's open like a book. And it's on the wall. It's hung on the wall. one of the things I always like to have access to is the wiring on the back side. So I don't necessarily have to remove this whole thing from the wall once I have it all nice and hung. What I can do is via Velcro strips or one of those command strips, that's how this board can be attached to this bottom board. So all I'd have to do is unvelcro it, you know, and what I might do is on the very bottom here, I might cut a big old notch, you know, where you guys can't see, totally out of your view, but cut a nice decent sized notch, or even on the sides here where I run that LED, so I can stick a finger in and be able to pry it up and be able to then remove it while this is still hung. This portion right here is still hung on the window, or, you know, hung on the wall, because this is the window, and then turn it around and do whatever repairs that I need to do on here. So I wanted this to be definitely detachable and in pieces so I can run any type of repairs. As we can see, I'm already having to do with our LED strip. But all in all, I think the soldering went well. I think it's just something delicate that once you solder it, you don't want to be super rough with it like I'm being completely right now. So back to my secret scheme that I wanted to throw out at you guys. So, not on this portion because it's going to be moving and then I don't want to jerk the wires. One cool thing I thought, and I'm going to put this aside again, is around this edge. I'm going to try and lift it. As you can see, this window is made up of many layers of plywood, and I took whatever I had in the shop, just like one of you guys said. Sometimes the best tools are what you have lying around. So I have a 3/4 inch, a 3/4 inch, and then maybe a 3/8 inch situation here, and then a 1/2 inch. So whatever that adds up to be is the thickness of this. And I thought this is pretty thick to be hanging off a wall. Now I did get the whole window mechanism, the entire thing, to be pretty thin, and I carved down. That's one of the reasons we didn't do a full Castle Frankenstein miniature build and have the whole thing jutting out 2 feet from this. I'm gonna totally hit my head as I walk by this thing. So one idea I had was perhaps attach cool castle-like stones that come out so it's hung up on the wall, and make a border. And I am mangling this LED strip even more. Make a border right along here of very cool stones, like a stone border that goes around. And even cooler, taking an LED strip. Not only do we have cool lighting shining down on the castle below, but wouldn't it be cool to have, just like the TV sets, LED lighting shining out at the wall? And so what I could do is put a strip right here on the outermost piece of plywood and attach my, let me move over here, and attach my bricks coming out this way. So in essence, what will happen is that this strip is going to wash light over the brick border, beyond that, or brick or stone border, depending on what we want to do, and beyond that, over and spill over to the wall. That might be kind of cool. It's just kind of like a nice touch. So I'm really thinking about doing that, and I think that I will do on its own pin, and I may have to drill some kind of hole or something that then moves the wiring into the back of the board, which will plug into the Arduino. So that's are all the lighting schemes that I'm thinking of. And if you guys think of cool colors, maybe we can make the outer one change colors while we have the flickering situation, like somebody's home in the castle here, and then we can have this just be still. You know, just a still beautiful gradient along the inside edge right here. That way you don't get competing lighting schemes and they're all fighting and it's like, who's the coolest, you know? So I was kind of going in that direction, but as always, I love to hear from you guys because you guys always like one-up me. And then I always borrow your idea. So all in all, thanks so much for joining me on a Friday, no less. And so we're getting back to our Mondays, Wednesdays, and to wrap this up and to squeeze in as many projects as possible, I'm going to throw in as many Friday streams as I can. And special thanks to our Wrench Army. We have our special Wednesday streams just for Wrench Army members. And the replay of this will be available for a bit. If you want access to all of the replays, then consider joining joining as either as a supporter or Wrench Army member. And it's been a pleasure. I've had a blast with you guys, and continue the discussion on Discord, and I'll catch up with you guys there. So have a great rest of the day and weekend, and I'll see you all next week. I got a lot of work to do, so come on, chop chop. No rest for me. See you guys.